Democracy in the United States is dying. Trump is known to admire dictators and is aggressively trying to turn the U.S. into a failed democracy, just like they did in their countries. This video series shares 40 examples of how the United States in the early 21st century is looking like Germany in the early 20th century in some concerning ways. Trump appears to be copying Hitler's playbook, and MAGA is concerningly similar to the early days of the Nazi Party. The first video in this series sets out some important context. The qualifiers it includes, shown here, apply to all of the videos in the series. And now, Part 4. A comparison of how each leader exploits supporters to gain political office. Number 19. Both leaders ran on vague promises to fix the economy, which they ignored once in office. Hitler ran on promises to fix the economy and to make Germany great again, although he never provided clear plans while campaigning as to exactly how he was going to do that. He won people over by appealing to their inner fears, prejudices, and stereotypes of the left and the other as the causes for all the problems and the absolute enemies of all that is good. Many middle ground voters supported Hitler because they were frustrated with the status quo and were given bad data about an alternative. Trump ran on promises to fix the economy and to make America great again, although he never provided clear plans while campaigning as to exactly how he would do that. He won people over by appealing to their inner fears, prejudices, and stereotypes of the left and the other as the absolute enemies of all that is good. Many middle ground voters supported Trump because they were frustrated with establishment politics. For both leaders, the economy was already improving when they took office. Neither ushered in the golden age that they promised. Number 20. Both leaders were unusually talented at using oration, pageantry, and stagecraft to stoke the emotions of their audience and then use them towards their personal objectives. Hitler's speaking skills were second to none, and a big reason why he was so popular. And, of course, the symbolism and pageantry of the Nazis is legendary. Trump's speaking skills are likewise on another level. I don't mean he's a great speaker in any classic sense, but he has a way, much like Hitler, of tuning his message and connecting with his audience on an emotional level, a primitive level. Both leaders used a meandering speaking style that made it difficult to nail down the exact points being made, or to spot inconsistencies in their arguments. They instead rely on generating emotion. The exact argument or policy topic was in effect a side point, or at most just a platform to wrap the emotional message in. They know that their supporters are more interested in being entertained and having their beliefs confirmed than in being informed, and they delivered what their fans wanted. Both leaders are able to create what is known by psychologists as emotional contagion. That's the feeling of collective understanding within an audience that can be so powerful that it overrides normal, rational thoughts and behaviors. Supporters leave their rallies feeling connected and energized. The effect is so powerful that not only do they vote against their own best interests, they're happy to do so, convinced that it's the right thing to do, and convinced that others who don't follow their leader are not only wrong, but morally corrupt for disagreeing. Number 21. Both leaders used vague, easily adaptable, and broadly interpretable value signals to stir up emotion in their base. Hitler and the Nazis used language centered around nationalism and socialism, together with threats from the immoral and evil foreigners. Individual Germans didn't necessarily agree with the Nazis' platform overall, but they saw themselves in some part of the platform. Most commonly, the anti-foreigner, make Germany great again parts. Trump and MAGA use language centered around manliness, grievance, and patriotism, together with manufacturing vague threats from foreigners and immigrants specifically. Individual U.S. voters didn't necessarily agree with the MAGA platform overall, but they saw themselves in some part of it. Most commonly, the anti-foreigner, make America great again parts. Number 22. Both leaders used their personal perceived grievances as propaganda and motivation for their base. Hitler's grievances were against the Jews, though paradoxically, he interacted with Jews in Vienna and had friends that were Jewish, although he would later persecute them, among the many others he hated. Trump's grievances are widespread and seem to encompass anyone who doesn't outright embarrass themselves sucking up to him. Hitler and Trump are both able to project their petty, invented grievances in such a way that they can use them to connect with their supporters. They pretend to be mistreated so that they can connect with the emotions of their supporters who genuinely are being mistreated. For example, Trump's constant retelling of the story about the lady who could only afford 2 apples and had to put a third one back. Trump doesn't know what that's like, but it doesn't matter. The point is that it connects, because his base does know what it's like to not be able to afford all the food that they might want or need. They have had to put back something for lack of money. The 3 apple story is a metaphor for the real-world struggle that his base feels every payday when they have to decide between buying food, buying diapers, and paying for gas. Their grievance is absolutely real. Their genuine grievance is what pumps life into Trump's fabricated grievance. For both Trump and Hitler, the base supporters connect on an emotional level with the emotional message of the leader. Content doesn't matter. It's the emotion that drove Hitler's supporters, and it's emotion that drives Trump's supporters. Number 23. Both leaders exploited religious beliefs and organizations to gain their support. Hitler and Trump were both exposed to church when they were younger. Neither one of them were religious in adult life. In fact, both of their lives suggest they held no actual religious beliefs. But they know the lingo, the culture, the values. They know what to say, what to focus on, how to gain their support. Hitler manipulated the Catholics to get their vote. Then he largely ignored them once in office, aside from the occasional attack or the occasional lip service, whichever suited his needs at the time. Trump manipulated the Christian evangelicals to get their vote. Then he largely ignored them once in office, aside from the occasional lip service when it suits his interests. This video discussed similarities between the Nazis and MAGA and how each leader exploited supporters to gain political office. In the next video, we'll look at how each leader took control of government, or is trying to take it in Trump's case. The behaviors and actions are largely the same. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to sharpen the way you might think.